Welcome, everyone. We'll wait for a couple more minutes to see if there is anybody else joining us. My name is Jason Potter. I am an attorney. I'm a partner here at Wright Constable & Skeena, Baltimore. And joining us will be Todd Bauer and Charles Delaporte with Guardian Drone Services. So as I said, we'll give everybody a couple more minutes, and then we'll get started. All right, welcome everybody to the special edition of Surety Today. It's being brought to you today, obviously, via webinar, which is a first for us at Surety Today. And we are joined by special guests Todd Bauer and Charles Delaporte with Guardian Drone Services, LLC, which is an affiliate of the Guardian Group, Incorporated. My name is Jason Potter. I'm a partner in the Surety Law Group here at Wright Constable & Skeena in Baltimore, Maryland. As you know, Surety Today is designed to keep the busy claims professional up to date and informed on surety industry issues. Wherever you are, if you have a phone, you can call in. If you miss a presentation, you can listen to a recording at 3 different locations: at our website at WC as in Charles, S as in Sam, law.com, or as a podcast at Podbean. That's P as in Peter, O-D, B as in boy, E-A-N.com. Just search for Surety Today. And thirdly, on our microsite at suretytoday.net. We appreciate your support, and we ask that you pass along our contact information to any colleagues who you think might be interested in calling in. We also ask that you like and or share our Surety Today post on LinkedIn or Twitter. And of course, if you have any suggestions for topics or improvements, please let us know. If you have any technical issues during the call, please feel free to contact Anna Ruiz at aruiz@wcslaw.com. Now, we have muted the line during the presentation to avoid any background noise, and we will unmute it at the end for any questions. Today, we're going to talk about the important topic of drones in surety bond claim investigations. Drones are an emerging cost-effective tool to inspect and monitor projects, analyze claims, evaluate options, and minimize damages. Now, we do a lot of things here at Wright Constable & Skeena, but flying drones is not one of them. So we brought in the experts. Todd Bauer is an FAA certified remote pilot, and he brings more than 30 years of construction industry and surety industry experience to the table. Todd received his Bachelor of Science degree from the University of Southern California and his graduate degree from the University of Texas at Austin. Todd holds a Commercial California Contractors B license and is the president of Completion Contractors, Inc., a Guardian's general contracting subsidiary. Todd also assists clients with claims investigation and settlement, forensic accounting, takeover and completion of defaulted contracts, bond claim analyses, affirmative claim preparation, delay claim analyses, scheduling, and accounting audits, as well as litigation support and expert witness services. Todd is also licensed by the U.S. Treasury as a U.S. Customs broker and provides expertise in the investigation and resolution of U.S. Customs and FMC bond claims. We're also joined by Charles Delaporte. Charles is also an FAA certified remote pilot. He's a civil engineer with Guardian Group, Inc. Charles has international field and construction management experience on public and private construction projects, including civil infrastructure projects, water systems, and road construction. Charles performs all aspects of property, casualty, surety bond, and construction claims investigations, including field inspections, cost estimating, financial analyses, and allocation of responsibility. Charles received his Bachelor of Science degree in Civil, Structural, and Environmental Engineering from Trinity College in Dublin, Ireland, and his Master of Science degree in Civil Engineering and City Planning from the National Institute of Applied Sciences in Lyon, France. Welcome, gentlemen, and I now turn the presentation over to you.
Thank you, Jason. Welcome, everybody. This is Todd Bauer. I'm with Guardian Group Inc., as is Charles, also with Guardian Group Inc. We, of course, are surety construction consultants, and 3, 4, 5 years ago, we started to see this invasion of drones. And so we looked and we investigated how we might use those in assisting our clients in the surety bond claim investigation process and to mitigate damages. And as a result, we actually set up a separate company, which Jason mentioned, Guardian Drone Services, to provide drone services to our clients. So we use these every day when we can in our investigations, and we'll walk through a bit of that today and give you some insight into how we're using them and how they can potentially benefit you. We all know, how important and what a big industry the drone world is growing into. They're using them in agriculture. They're using them in construction. They're using them for security. During the Olympics, you saw, the Olympic banner flown with drones. They, in the last 3 years, have become very cost effective. Technically, they have really been refined, and we're using them. We're using them in all aspects of our business. So let's pass this slide. So let's talk a little bit about what it really all boils down to. Drones are providing us a very efficient and effective mechanism for data collection. That's the bottom line. They're giving us very good data, much better than we had even 5 years ago, and they're giving us that data much more cost effectively. The data is much more accurate. In certain cases, some of our projects are difficult to walk and to monitor, so it's improved the safety of personnel. But most importantly, it's just improving communication. It is taking data and providing it into charts and visual pictures that are allowing us to communicate to our clients in a variety of ways much more effectively than we have in the past. Number one, it is just efficient and effective. So how are we using them? Let's talk a little bit about performance bond claims first. Let's say we have a defaulted contractor. For the last 100 years, we put together requests for proposals and we solicited bids to complete defaulted contractor work. Well, we're using drones to develop scopes of work. We're using them to prepare cost to completes. We're including that information in our relet and our bid packages. We're using them as cost control after we potentially take over a project. So we're able to monitor work using drones very effectively. And then, of course, we're using them in prosecution and defense of affirmative claims and subrogation. So I think maybe the best thing to do is sort of walk through an example or two of projects that we've used them on in the past. So recently we had a subdivision project that included the construction of a reservoir. Our contractor was responsible for, these were subdivision bonds, our contractor was responsible for all on-site improvements. So infrastructure, roads, curbs, gutters. They also had in their contract the development of a water retention reservoir, but they were responsible for all water, gas, cable, all infrastructure under the ground to support the housing subdivision. We used the drone. This was a 300-acre site, and we used the drones initially to map the entire site. We did that all in a day, where you can imagine that if we had to physically walk that kind of project, it would take days and days and days. So the drones flew over, they mapped the entire site, they mapped the topography, they mapped the open trenches. We could see where the pipes were, where the pipes weren't. We could see terminations. we can from an aerial view really view everything on that site in a matter of minutes. So to the extent someone said, well, do you have a stockpile in the northeast corner? There's a guy that probably walked that and he would have detailed that, but we back in our office in 2 minutes can pick up those kind of pictures and see exactly what that stockpile material might be. So we mapped the entire site. We assessed the earthwork that needed to be export. The drones now have the capability to calculate data. They can take topos and they can determine how much export, how much import needs to be done on a particular site. That kind of information has been done manually for years and years with calculators. Well, with the input from drone technology now, it's a matter of minutes if you put it into the right program to determine that. So it's taken when you're developing a request for proposal for contractors, it's taken a lot of the unknowns out of the equation, and thus contractors aren't building in sort of the contingency dollars that they used to for the unknowns. So the drones are able to just very cost effectively help in a number of fronts. During the takeover of the project, we inspected all the defective work. We looked at the incomplete work. Again, we defined what our scope of work was, and we included that all in the relet package. One of the biggest things, though, that we saw the benefit from was the continual monitoring of the work. We could, in a couple hours, fly a drone over. You can program these drones to map the exact same trip day after day. So you can put the flight pattern into one of these drones, and they will fly over the project every day, the same speed, the same time, the same distance, and you're able to monitor progress. You can see what it changes from day to day or hour to hour. So that is, from a monitoring perspective, it's incredible. We can compare that information to daily reports that are given to us by our contractors to see how accurate they are. We're using it to defend delay claims by our contractor on this project specifically. One of our contractors argued that there was a stockpile put in his way, and we were able to go. That was on his daily report. We were able to go back to the drone and say, "Where's that stockpile? That doesn't really exist." So this kind of information from the air is incredibly valuable, and it certainly helped us a bunch on this subdivision and saved a bunch of money. I thought it might be interesting to talk a little bit about a project that we did a number of years ago that we didn't have drone technology on, that in hindsight, had we, what the benefits might have been. We completed a high-rise hotel a few years ago in a major city, and it was on a 50-acre site. It was about 30% when we took the thing over, and we had to walk every inch of that hotel, every inch of that site. It took weeks and weeks and weeks to really status the work and figure out what the defective work was, what the 40 different trades were, and what the status of the work was. With the drone, we could have easily done that in a week. We had to, you can fly a drone, 40 stories in the air in a matter of 20 minutes, and you don't need to scale the side of a building. You can, these drones are so sophisticated now that you literally can take them off in a conference room and fly around the room without hitting anybody. So you can fly them down hallways. You can, on that project alone, we would have saved a ton of money had the drone technology been developed, and it's only getting better. Every day we see new programming, new developments coming out. They are estimating that in the insurance industry alone, there's something like $300 billion worth of services and saved money that's going to be spent and saved in the next 5 years using drone technology. So it's really something else. But on this project, not unlike the subdivision and reservoir project, we would have used it for scopes of work. We would have developed our relet package. We could have seen stockpiles of steel. you can identify rust, you can identify broken pipes, you can identify all those kinds of things from the roof down, where, you know, if you have to do that physically, you're on ladders story by story. So you can imagine what the drone would have been able to do in this particular case. It can also help, of course, in payment bond claims. The biggest thing that we're seeing right now in payment bond claims is verification of work performed and quantification of soils and framing and structures. So it's really a data collection tool. And if you have an open mind to where it might be used, you can sort of see the benefits of it. We've used it on numerous payment bond claims in terms of quantifying soil. We had a contractor that was claiming significant amounts of export on a very large dig project, and by using the drone, we were able to confirm that nowhere near the amount of export had been taken out of the site than as much as he was claiming. So in terms of we had a contractor that had installed a bunch of curtain wall and a bunch of storefront windows and high level windows on a high rise, and we used the drone to determine if they were installed properly and if they were effective, rather than going up and down the side of a building in a boom, which of course is a safety issue as well as time consuming and expensive. So you can use this data collection process in evaluating payment bond claims too, especially in challenging environments where they're difficult to get to. Sort of extrapolating, we are also using it, and we can see the benefits of it. It's sort of new technology in some cases, but we're already starting to see how it's going to be used in prosecuting and defending affirmative claims and handling and subrogation. I mentioned a little bit about this subdivision where the contractor claimed delays because he said that someone had stockpiled something in his way. Well, the drone obviously eliminated that as an issue, and the affirmative claim went away. But the progress monitoring on project sites and using these to support daily reports of continual progress is really something else. You've got an eye in the sky every day on a job, and you can see manpower, you can see dirt moving, you can see lumber being framed, you can see everything that's going on, you can see trucks coming in, trucks coming out. So with that sort of information, it hasn't yet been fully utilized. We can see the benefits of it in not only prosecuting claims for our contractors and our clients against owners for delay, but also, very importantly, on the surety side, defending against delay and impact claims based on this type of visual information that we're collecting. Here's a quick little case study, for example, on an affirmative claim. We had a contractor, a defaulted principal, that was hired to excavate a storm drain in a southern state. And before he bid the work, he knew the amount of dirt that he needed to take out. He had done his potholing, but during the actual work, he ran into much more earth to move than was planned, and essentially put him out of business. So we came in and we used drones to not only do topo and calculate the amount of earth that was going out, or earth that was there, but then we monitored it daily to see how much dirt was actually coming out. So that was calculated, and it was helped to support our affirmative claim for damages and for extras on the project. It went to mediation, and I mean the technical data that was provided visually from this drone carried the day. I mean, it was plain, it was black and white. It was really tough to argue that additional dirt hadn't been taken out of the project than was planned. So lastly, you can imagine the kinds of graphics and visuals that you can prepare and use in litigation support. The I think still it's a little bit untested at this point. We have yet to have one of our cases with drone surveillance and drone technology been used in court, but we're certainly using them in mediations now, and it's just enhancing the picture. No one's hiding from the truth, and this just makes a project very transparent. It's very difficult to argue what you're seeing with a drone. It's and it cuts both ways. It can hurt and it can help, but it's certainly bringing truth to the equation, and allowing us to solve and resolve some of these highly disputed cases very quickly. So I think we've talked a lot about the good of drones. There's some things that we should probably all keep in mind when you're trying to assess if a drone should be used or can be used. What we're doing is we're, of course, providing drones to our experts. Guardian Group, of course, we're surety consultants, so we're out in the field every day. We are using drones and put in the hands of the people that would otherwise be out on the job anyway. So we're not a third party. So our engineers that are out investigating a claim and assessing a claim and watching a project complete are actually using the drones. Our engineers and our people are licensed to fly these drones, and we have them in all our offices. But there are some limitations. One, battery life. I expect that it's going to be get better, but a drone, can fly for 20, 25 minutes before your battery dies. And you probably, when a battery dies, the drone automatically lands. It lands with enough power so it doesn't just drop out of the sky. But in 20 minutes, you can take 1,000 photographs. You can run video, and the pictures are absolutely incredible. So even though it's a 25-minute flight time, you can get a heck of a lot done. And of course, we come armed with extra batteries, and so you can be out there for hours and hours without a problem. There is one restriction that I think is probably going to be lifted at some point in certain situations, but right now you can only fly a drone as far as you can see it. So there's a line of sight regulation that you need to be able to visually see that drone. There's some workarounds with that. You can have, the guy flying it can see the drone for a portion of the time, and you can have another person on the other end of the job that can keep his eyes or her eyes on it. As long as there's a team setup and you can see the drone flying, you're okay. But for example, you can't fly it around corners. Drones can fly great distances, and frankly, the cameras on them are probably better than eyes on them. So physically, a drone, using the camera, you could fly it just about anywhere. You could move it around buildings. You could maneuver it anywhere you wanted and still know where you are and know what you're seeing, because you're sitting there in your controller and you have a monitor and you're seeing everything the drone sees. But there is a regulation right now that you can only fly it as far as you can see it. You've got to keep your eyes on it, and that's a limitation in some cases. Lastly, weather. They're no good in inclement weather. They can still fly, in 8, 10, 12 mile an hour winds, but that's where it starts to get a little sketchy. They are very light pieces of equipment, and the weather does affect your ability to fly them. So no good in wind, no good in rain. So there's some of those limitations. So I guess lastly, to sort of summarize, and we'll turn this over to questions. Drones in the hands of an expert are really something else. They can really improve. They can improve the quality of data. Significantly reduce the cost of an investigation. The speed in terms of investigation is enhanced greatly, and then of course safety. The trick is make sure that the drone is in the hands of an expert. There are third parties out there that you can that are renting their services as drone pilots. But what we found is that drones are becoming very inexpensive. Like I say, you can buy a drone for $1,500. A license doesn't take much anymore. It used to, even a couple of years ago, you had to actually have an FAA pilot license to fly a drone. That has got easier. So there's a lot of folks out there that are selling drone services, but what we have found is it's kind of like having a pencil in the hand of an engineer doing calculations. If it is not in the hands of an expert, it's not nearly as effective. You know, a drone in the hands of an engineer that's actually doing the investigation and actually can fly it himself, can actually go around a corner, can actually zoom in on a pipe that looks like it's defective. That's where the real benefit is. So we're not selling our drone services to anything but to enhance, you know, Guardian Group's normal services. The benefit is that it doesn't cost anything. You know, it's just another tool in the hands of our people. So our people are out there on an hourly basis doing the investigation. Now they've just got this tool at no cost to really enhance that investigation. So this is really what it does. It reduces the cost, improves the detail of the data, improves the speed, and it improves safety. Okay, so that's really, I hope we made it in the time we had allotted. That's really sort of our quick talk. Jason, maybe you want to turn it over to questions?
Sure. Excuse me. Thank you, Todd and Charles. Before I do that, I wanted to let everyone know that the next edition for Surety Today will be on Monday, August 13th, 2018 at 12:30 Eastern Time. With respect to any upcoming events in the surety industry, it's the summertime, so nothing is planned for the next month or so in surety land, but we'll now open it up to any questions anybody has. All right, if there are no questions, we will end the webinar. Once again, I'd like to thank Todd and Charles for joining us, and we hope to see everyone next month.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.